Yeah, you're live.
Oh my gosh, we are live. Hey, if you spend hours a week going through listings on Bring a Trailer, PCAR Market, Doug DeMiro's Cars and Bids, you are a nerd and you found the right channel. This is it. You're watching Bid Nerds. Tonight we have Radwood founder as a special guest, Lane Skelton. The bidding starts now. Hit it. Bid Nerds is your daily YouTube car game show where we predict the online auction results of the most interesting cars on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Haggerty Marketplace, and more. It's just like the Price is Right game show. Play along and see if you can beat the nerds. Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to a brand new episode of Bid Nerds. I don't know. Hey, shout out to my friends over that are still watching us on Instagram. Are you seeing this live? Because I am.
We are. We're getting live in the chat, but I did just get an error that's telling me that your hard drive is full and there's not local recording of this episode.
That is fine. We can deal with that.
Yeah, here we go. Lane is here.
Lane is here. Stand by, everybody. You got to love a live show. I don't know if this thing is working.
All right, I'm getting information on the chat. All right, so Buddha's already here telling us that he sees Lane. People hear you.
Okay, great. Well,
here's our man, Anthony.
Hey, and look at that mental just bear. Who cares? I was going to lead into the fact that we've got Lane, but you've already got him on screen. So thanks, mental. Thanks for ruining the whole night.
That's what I do.
You
want to just hit finish now? We'll wrap it up.
We'll wrap it up. We're done. Hey guys, welcome to Bid Nerds. Your nerd out on all the greatest, most interesting cars on all the automotive auction sites. My name is John Polnik. I am your host for the night, as well as our guest host. We've got Lane Skelton from Radwood, like I said at the top of the show, and then of course we've got Switcher Gary, aka Mental, over there in the house. People are saying that this show is live, even though I am still not seeing it on my feed, but I'm just gonna trust you, I guess. Hey, Lane, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How about you guys? I feel like I need to turn up my enthusiasm. You guys have really stepped up the enthusiasm on the intro of the show and stuff in the last few months. So I gotta come at you hard. I'm excited to be here.
Give me those takes.
Let's get this show on the road. What?
Give me those takes, man. It's a game show. I mean, look, we figured it out a while back that really that's what this is. It's just the Price is Right with enthusiast cars on all the auction sites. So, dude, you have been a friend of the show. For those of you who have not seen some of the earlier episodes, Lane used to come on pretty often when we did it when we first started. Geez, we were doing this daily during what was it, back in the 2020s when weird stuff was going on with bugs and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But a lot has happened then. We've got the new studio tonight. For those of you who are fans of the show, you may notice that we don't have Michael Deeb tonight. There's literally something wrong with his face. So this is going to be an extra clunky show because I'm going to try to do his job, and y'all know I'm no good at it.
There's kind of always something wrong with his face, right?
Yeah, so I don't know why he ditched out on the show.
It's weird.
He said he's got an eye infection or something like that. It's like, dude, sunglasses. I always wear sunglasses. And look,
his mouth doesn't work or what?
Yeah, I've got Patootie here. Producer Patootie is in the studio. She's probably the only competent one in here. Yeah, I don't know what the heck, Deeb. We could have just put a screen. We could have put an emoji or an avatar or something like that. I don't know. Who cares? Whatever. Michael Deeb will be back for our live show on Wednesday. We are doing this show live every Wednesday at about 6:30 or 7 o'clock, depending on the day. Shout out to the Nerd Herd. The Nerd Nation is growing. Thank you guys so much for hanging out in the chat. Most of the usual suspects are here. Looks like we got Buddha, we got Jim, we got who else? Randy B's hanging out. Of course, Anthony from Our Smiths in Idaho. Lane, you wear a fancy Swiss watch, right? You've got some fancy watches. I've seen you rock some watches.
I have a Japanese watch on right now.
Okay, if it's fine, you got to check out our good friends at Our Smiths up in Idaho. They fine Swiss repair. They've got if you've got a really nice watch and you need it serviced, they'll just send you a box. You put it in the box. It goes up to Idaho, and the masters at Our Smiths will get that thing serviced up, put it back in the box, send it back to you. It'll be good as new. And if you don't have a Fine Swiss watch, if you're looking for one, check out Our Smiths. They always have an amazing selection of watches. I personally hate looking at their website because I always want to buy whatever the hell it is that they have for sale. It's almost worse than looking at BAT and all the car sites, because it's like the deals are always good on Our Smiths, whereas on BAT and Cars and Bids, there's the bargains aren't always there. So anyways, Our Smiths up in Idaho, great people up there. Thanks, Anthony. And then of course, shout out to Godin Porsche and Godin Classic of Las Vegas. They are big supporters of the show, so check them out if you need parts for your classic Porsche, or you want a classic Porsche, or you just want to hang out at a cool place in Vegas. Come and check them out. Say the nerd sent you. All right, Lane. We made some predictions on the last episode, so you mind if we get to it?
Let's do this.
He's like, let's do this. Let's get this over with. All right, the first car that we made a prediction on the last episode was this 75 Caddy. You know anything about these, Lane?
Because this one's gorgeous.
I don't.
Look at this baby.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's cool. It's cool.
It's cool, right? I mean, so one of the Nerd Herd fans,
cool.
Yeah, it's a terrible car, but one of the Nerd Herd fans, Gerd, sent this to us as a selection that we put on the list. A lot of times people are going, you think all you're talking about is Porsche, so we try to mix it up a little bit here. This
I like
one,
the rusty license plate bracket.
It's a good look, right? It's a good look. This would have fit in on nice. This one, 63,000 miles. It's in Ohio. So you mentioned the rusting. You got to wonder about stuff like that. For those of you who don't know anything about a 75 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, these came with a 500 cubic inch V8, 3-speed automatic. The color, I guess they have a fancy name for it, Firethorn Metallic Fire Mist paint. That's a lot of fire. White padded vinyl roof. Is that called a Landau top? Or what yeah. And then 15-inch steel wheels, power steering, power assisted front disc brakes. Wow, that's some high tech for America back then. Automatic climate control. Got to wonder if any of that works. Power adjustable front bench. I mean, you look at this car, it's really straight. My partner Michael Deeb on the last episode was he thought this was a pretty awesome car for like Vegas or something like that. But what do you think of these, Lane? You got any real opinions on this thing?
I mean, it's 502 cubic inches, probably what, 160 horsepower.
On a good day, if you took the smog off.
Yeah, on the best day, 75. At least it's pre-smog if you're in California. But good Palm Springs / Vegas car, I think.
Now, what do you think of the fact that it's not a convertible? I mean, I feel like if you're going to do a desert, if you're going to do the Cadillac thing, it's got to be a drop top. You got to put that big horn on the nose. Any opinions about that?
Kind of true. Yeah, but I mean, those hot climates, I mean, usually a convertible is actually not the best thing. You just want good AC. And I think a lot of these American cars from this era are known for having really good air conditioning. So,
well, one of the things
works,
that
two-door coupe.
Yeah, one of the things that you guys do on DWA on your podcast is I know you give me ish for calling it a bit, but you guys have a classic bit, the X car solution. How you got one car, you got two car, you got three cars. What is your 2-car solution or 3-car solution? This certainly isn't a car that's in a 1-car solution scenario. This is not a car that someone's going to be like, this is my only car in Las Vegas. This is the car that you drive at night, right? I mean, so
Definitely.
I don't know.
So then you want the convertible. And I mean, 75, it's not definitely like you're kind of in the worst, styling wise, you want an earlier one. So it's kind of a weird little era of cars, right?
I mean, what do you think
of
cars from the 70s in general are having trouble, right? I mean, that's basically from a value point of view. We see a lot of boomers or older folks that are hitting their retirement age are liquidating these old cars, or they're passing away and they're passing on cars like this to their Gen Z or millennial kids, and they don't want them. If someone entered, you guys do a couple of rallies every year, the Coastal Range Rally, the DWA rallies are kind of world renowned as awesome drives. And you've got to like you don't just let anybody in. It's like you gotta submit your car and why you want to go in. If someone said they wanted to bring a 75 hardtop caddy, what would you do? Would you be like, yeah, come on in? Or
I mean, I'd probably let them in because that's crazy. Yeah, it's weird enough, right? You're like, oh, okay, let's see this. This is cool. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting car. It's just, I mean, that's like the worst for America. Like if you're looking at the worst era, it's probably 75 to 85, for like build quality and all this stuff. Like, I mean, this thing, those rear windows, I don't think they roll down.
Those are the opera windows. They do not.
Yeah, so it's just like the back seat people, they're just hot. So maybe it actually sucks for Vegas and stuff like that. You really want a two-door hardtop or a convertible, like you said. Yeah, and that was like, I mean, I forget what car it was, like 1980 or something. There was I think it was a Chevy or something. They offered a four-door car and the rear windows didn't roll down. But that was like how much cost savings was going on back then,
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
I think it looks, yeah.
You bring up an interesting point though, that because it is a 75, this is a car that, California smog exempt. That is a big deal generally. I would bet that makes a big difference on the value between the 75s and 76, and maybe someone in the comment that knows more about Cadillacs of this era can tell us. But 65,000 miles in just about any other car would be low miles, but this comes from an era when cars looked, were. Hold on, guys, we got a little technical issue here.
You keep talking, but yeah, what's interesting was because they were smogging these, they had such low compression. A couple of years ago, you started seeing these get snatched up, especially just for the engines, because they would respond really well to turbocharging. And the guys were taking them to the drag strips and just boosting them to the moon because they would take it all day long.
That's pretty awesome. She's still more technical issues here. Sahan loves a boosted car.
Yes.
Yeah, so did those have like thermal reactors like a 75 Porsche would, I wonder?
No,
or like
dear
a
God,
75
no.
BMW?
They're not going to do anything that cosmic. They're just going to put a great big cat on it after they built the engine and then just back off the compression as much as possible since they were, to make them run on unleaded.
So yeah, that's the good thing, I guess. You could wake it up, put a four barrel on it and put some headers and stuff and actually like probably double the horsepower pretty easy.
Got audio on me?
I do not have audio on you. When you jumped up, your audio went away, JP. I apologize for that. So we're going to keep talking about this Cadillac. Yeah. And then you end up with a real sleeper on this. You don't even have to LS swap it, which just seems to be the curse of anything old these days that everyone's on there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is a car. Who cares about the power either? It's just a cruiser.
Oh, totally.
So.
Look at that steering wheel right there.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful because it's the mix between like old school metal and like just like the worst plastics, right? So plastics have come a long way, and this is not the era of good plastics.
No, which makes it impressive that it's lasted this long.
You guys got me back?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
we
you're
got
back.
audio. Sorry about that, guys. All right, well, let's get to what our bids were, because I don't think we want to talk about this Cadillac all that much. My partner, Michael Deeb, thought this thing would bring 11 grand. I was right there with him. I was at 9,975. Gerd from the Nerd Herd, he's the one that suggested this car. He thought this car might bring 11,750, and then Mental, you came in at 10,500. Care to venture a guess, since you were our guest?
This is like, I have no idea. I think
I'll give you a few more clues.
Might be light. I'm gonna
Hold on. I'll give you
whoa.
some more clues because the Nerd Herd,
Okay.
the Nerd Nation knows. They always beat us on the bids. Randy, let's see here. Randy B says, Randy came in at 17.5. Anthony was 8,700. Chris said 9,750. Lee was at 9,000. 10.5 was the other. So you can see where this is going.
Yeah.
The spread is not very big.
Yeah, I think just the fact that it's like nice original paint, low miles. I don't see how it would be. I'm gonna say 15.
15 grand. All right. Well, I think
Yeah.
whoever owns this car agrees with you because this car was bid up to $9,250 with 17 bids, but it failed to sell. So this car did not bring any money really when it comes down to it, because it sounds like whoever the owner was probably thought it was worth a lot more than the market says so. I mean, this has got to be a terrible time to try to sell something like this in the middle of winter, a rear-wheel drive heavy car. Where was this car? Do you remember? Mental.
It's in Ohio.
Oh, I did say that. Yeah.
And so we've got our friends in Wisconsin and our friends in Idaho telling us they're all staring at between a foot and 14 inches of snow.
Yeah. So you've got to throw at least another couple grand on this thing to get it to California if it's a place where you're excited about, oh my gosh, I got to get this car to California where it doesn't matter if it's smog. Well, you're throwing all this extra money at it. I'm guessing you could probably find a nicer one, probably with no rust, in California already. But what do you guys think of the results of that 75 Caddy? Should the seller have taken the $9,200, or are they better off to wait till spring maybe and try to get more money for it? What would you do if you were trying to sell a Cadillac in the middle of winter? Let us know in the comments below. And let's go ahead and move on to the next car, because I think we spent way too much time on this one. This next car, I think, Lane, you're going to know a little bit more about one of these, probably more than I do. My partner knows these inside and out. I love them. We're talking about on Cars and Bids. Doug DeMiro brought a 1985 Alfa Romeo GTV 6. This car has 77,000 miles, but it does say that the true mileage is unknown. This car's out of Colorado. If you don't know much about these cars, they come with a 2.5 liter V6. They are rear-wheel drive. They are a 5-speed. This one is white on black. A dealer is selling this car, so this isn't a private owner. This particular car, pretty cool looking in white with the 15-inch wheels, that cool cloth upholstery. It's got power windows and locks. If you've ever had an Italian car from this era, you know how rare any of those things work. It's got some kind of aftermarket sunroof. We didn't talk about that on the last episode when we were queuing up this car and making our predictions, but I did notice that and I forgot to mention it. It's got an Alpine head unit. Looks like I think it's period correct. Some flaws on this car. Says the Carfax history reports indicated mileage is inconsistent. Okay, well, whatever. It's a 5-digit odometer. That's something. There's paint. There's lots of paint defects. There's like chips and dents and scratches all over this car. But overall, it looks like a good 10-footer. What do you think of this car? Just looking at it cold like this, Lane.
I don't know. I think these cars have definitely gone up in value. I remember I've almost bought one of these like 5 times, but I was always like scared away. And that was when they were like $1,500 to like $3,000. But I don't. It looks like a pretty honest car. It looked like from the one picture, maybe like the door had been repainted or something. But yeah, it looks pretty honest. They definitely didn't clean it up for the pictures too much, which I guess shows that maybe they're not trying to hide anything. But yeah, it looks pretty decent.
Yeah, you got to wonder about that sometimes, right? I mean, my theory, and I know you've heard me say this before on earlier episodes, and, Doug DeMiro got quite a bit of money invested in Cars and Bids. What was it, $37 million or something like that? And he went out and bought himself a CGT, but he couldn't, get a team of guys that could convince his sellers to bring better pictures to their auction listings, and he still makes his car videos with like a GoPro in a Kmart parking lot. I don't quite get how, okay, you spent $2 million on a car, you still have another $35 million. What did they do at Cars and Bids? I have no idea over there. This car, let's hear. You want to talk about numbers? You want to talk about how much this thing went for real quick? Let's do it.
Sure.
Let's hear. Deeb said this thing would bring $12,000. I was a little bit more optimistic. I thought it would bring $14,000 because this is a nice. I do like the white. I think it really pops on this car. And Mental, you were at 9,500, so you were the most bearish. What do you think happened with this car? What did it get bid up to? Did it sell? What do you think? What's your guess? What's your bid?
You said 14.
I did say $14,000. Yeah.
I'll play Price is Right rules. I'll go 14. I'll go 14-1.
$14,001. And come on down, you're the
100
big winner. Yeah, either way, $1 or $100, you would have won.
Yeah.
Because this car did sell with 27 bids for $15,400. What do you think of that result?
Gerd got a Yahtzee on that one.
Get the F out of here. Shut the
he
front
bid
door.
exactly 15,400.
Wow.
15,400?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's wow.
That's crazy.
Gerd, I don't know, man. He's Gerd. We should have brought Gerd. We need to forget it. We're replacing Deeb with Gerd. Has Gerd gotten like 2 Yahtzees? Someone, I don't know. The Nerd Herd's always getting Yahtzees, man. Jim Bagley in the Nerd Herd saying it's like a Russian roulette car. Ain't that the truth? Have you had any Italian stuff? I mean, Lane, I know you've had like any alphas, spiders, any of that other kind of stuff.
I have a little spider.
Yeah, you have the spider. Yeah, you.
Yeah,
that's right.
and
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I had a.
You bought the spider out from underneath me, actually. Specifically,
Yeah, exactly.
I was in
Santa
Costa
Cruz.
Mesa or Santa Cruz coming to see you.
Well, you came here and then you couldn't hook up with them, and then you bailed.
I didn't
and then I
bail.
drove
I went.
Deeb's
I
car.
couldn't go there because I was going
you
to be on
went-
your show, so I couldn't go look at the
Yeah,
car.
then
I'm
you
like,
went
hey,
home,
what do you think
and
of this
then I
car?
went and drove
then
it,
you're like, oh,
and
it's a
then
piece of shit. And then you
yeah.
went and bought it. So you duped me out of it.
Is this the spider
Well, I
right
actually-
here on the left side of the DWA blog screen?
No, that's a nice one. But yeah, and I drove Deeb's car that same weekend too. Then I was like, oh, these are actually
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I drove Deeb's home that one night and it was freezing cold,
my
top
gosh.
down.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I had an old Fiat too at one time, a little X19 thing, and then we had
Oh
a
man.
Fiat 60s Fiat Spider with the Lamborghini headlights, the Mira headlights, the
Yeah.
little those. But yeah, that's kind of not too many Italian things.
Well, you are gonna love what we have coming up after we get done resolving because we have a cool Italian car.
We've got some really cool stuff.
Oh, I can't
Stick
wait.
around, you guys, after the break because we've got great predictions to make. All right, let's talk about the other 2 cars that we made predictions on the last episode here. Let's see here. What's the next one here? All right, this is a little bit more in all of our wheelhouse, I guess you could say, even though I don't think any of us really particularly love this car. In fact, I think we ished all over it, but it is something that we know a little something about. A 1996 Porsche 993 cab, modified by our good friends over at RWB. Take a look at this cartoon caricature of a 911 Lane. This one is a little over the top. This has 120,000 miles with a stock 3.6 liter. Look how wide that thing is, wider than, well, I was going to make a joke that is probably not PC. What do you say about an RWB that so much has been said about these things? And Lane, I want to get your opinion on RWB, but before we talk about specifically that this car is holding an even worse problem, something that is even more ishy than how bad the car looks is 2 pedals, 1 stick. Exactly. It's a tip freaking tronic. This is an auto tragic 993 RWB, as if this car isn't embarrassing enough. Some poor seller out of Costa Mesa, California. See, I had Costa Mesa on my head here. This is a private party trying to unload this thing. I guess they're just embarrassed to be. They probably just couldn't take the ridicule anymore. They're like, get off this car. I got to get out of here. Lane, what do you think of an RWB? What do you think of this particular RWB?
RWB in general, I hate. I hate them, and this is like one of the worst ones I've ever seen. It's like ultra wide body on a tip cab with like horrible interior on a red car with the camel gauge surrounds. I mean, this thing is, and then that wheel, that raw welt steering wheel. I mean, this is like no taste.
Does O'Reilly's sell RWB steering wheel wraps
They
like
should.
they do,
This-
like, you know,
and
with
then
like the cartoons? Yeah, look at that. Ugh.
The signature and then the horrible stereo system stuff. This thing's trash.
I mean, do you think Nakayasan's cigarettes were like laced with fentanyl when he was making this one in some kid's garage? I mean, it is bad, bad, bad. I know, Mental, you wanted this car. You were all excited about this thing, right?
No.
He's like, no, that's all I need to say.
No. Doug DeMuro did not get paid enough money for me to take this car, and the Nerd Herd all agree that, this is just...
It's just a garbage car. Anthony's going,
the horribleness of this car will haunt my dreams forever.
Lane, do you think this car will be at Air and Water Luft event here in a couple of months? You think Patrick?
It might be.
You think Patrick Stewart will let this car in?
Patrick Stewart.
You like that? Yeah, Patrick Stewart would definitely let it in. All the Patricks would love this car. I love the speedster humps. This thing is just so bad. Okay, so what did we think would happen with this auction? Deeb said it would come in at $76,000. Okay, and I know, Lane, I'm gonna tell you what I bid on this car, not because I thought this car is worth what I bid on it, but I really did truly believe that there are enough morons out there that disagree with us and do love RWBs. If there's someone, I'm sure whoever made this car spent what I thought it would bring. This car, I thought would
they
bring,
have an audience.
Yeah, I thought it would bring $150,993. That was my bid. And then Mental went completely the other way. He was like, "No, it's not even going to sell. It's going to get up to $46,000." What do you think happened with this thing?
Dude, if it was 46, I'd almost buy it.
I know, right? Look at that. Lane's big baller. He's just throwing $46,000 around. He's got Lane's so baller now that he's got like 50,000 that he can just drop on he's like hanging out with Rami now. All right. What do you think this got bid to?
Dude, I'd pull up to Radwood in that thing. Like, yeah. Dude, it's so hard. Like you said, I mean, I could see some idiot paying 150, but the automatic, I think even them are against the automatic. And then with all the go fast, looks and none of the go fast stuff, it's like so bad, right? You give them all the money in the world to try and and
by the way, it's a salvage title too on top of it all.
Oh, jeez. Oh, really?
Yeah.
And it's a real RWB car?
Apparently. It's got a signature on it. Yeah,
whatever.
What's real? Yes. Nakaya-san spent 3 days hacking it up himself, yes.
Yeah. $85,000.
$85,000. Do you think it would have sold? Do you think it sold at that number, or do you think that someone would actually?
No, this guy's probably delusional and he wants way more money. But
all right. Well, you would have once again you would have beat the nerds because the actual number that this was bid to with 20 bids got to $87,502. What a weird bid. That would have been something to get a Yahtzee on. But everyone agreed this thing is garbage. Nobody wanted. I'm frankly shocked.
So who won? Who won? I'm sorry. Just who won that one?
Nobody
really?
won that. Yeah, nobody.
Like somebody didn't bid $90,000.
Well, you didn't bid $90,000.
Oh, I thought I did. Never mind. Damn.
You bid 87. No, you bid. Dude, you bid $46,000.
Damn it! Perfectly good trash talk waste.
I mean, $150,000. I thought I was off. Gee, $46,000. The engine would be worth that. It's a 993. What did the? Let's see here. What do we got in the nerd herd out there? The nerd was like,
Okay, read the last comment from Anthony.
All right. Our Smith says RWB has an audience like 2 girls and a cup did.
That's huge. That's a huge audience.
Yeah.
That was a very popular video.
I think a few people saw that. Same sensibilities. Yeah. This car is just, oof, man. All right. Well, so probably it's going to, I would imagine we're going to see this on PCAR Market in the spring, and where it probably will bring somewhere around $100,000 when people are back into this stupidity. But Gerd won another one. I think Gerd was at, where was Gerd at?
78.5.
Jeez, come on, Gerd. You're just smoking us, dude. Smoking us. Michael Deeb is not coming back because Gerd is going to replace him. Oh, my gosh. Okay, what other car did we make a prediction on here? There was one more from the last episode. This one, Michael Deeb was all excited about. I'm just like so over. I love a Porsche 944. I do. But I'm kind of over him. I'm kind of sick of hearing about him. There's only so much you can say about a Porsche 944. This one is kind of a special one, a 1988 Porsche 944 Turbo S Silver Rose. Okay, great. It's the color that it's the pink. This one had some mods to it. Take a look at this, Lane. The interior was actually done pretty well, I think. They put these kind of period correct crazy seats, but they color matched. They got the pattern match really good. It's got a roll bar. It's got a bunch of other stuff. But let's see. This car has.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 73,000 miles. Of course, it's got the 2.5 liter, turbocharged inline four. Greddy Profect boost controller, whatever the hell that is. This car comes factory with a limited slip. It's got the 17-inch wheel cup wheels, which look really good on the car. This is a private owner out of Tucson trying to unload this car. What do you think of 944s in general, 951 turbos? I know my good friend Lane had a 944 for a long time, but it wasn't a turbo. What do you think of these turbos?
No, I mean, I am a self-proclaimed 944 lover, I guess. I've probably had 6 944s or something like that. And 944s were actually my dream car when I was a kid. So I would always draw them and all this stuff when I was 10 years old and stuff. That was the car I liked. 944s and the 968 came out and all that stuff. I and this was the cream of the crop, right? This is the best 944 ever. It was the Turbo S in this color with the special interior and all that stuff. Low numbers and stuff. And these were, forever. You can get them for 21 grand, perfect condition stuff. But now prices have definitely gone up, as with everything else. But I think they're really cool. On this particular one, I think definitely leaving it having a stock one is way more valuable than one with a fire extinguisher in the passenger compartment.
Yeah, and there's nothing worse than a boost gauge on the A-pillar. It just totally ruins it. What do you think of those seats, though? I think that's pretty amazing that they made the custom seats and got the pattern right.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Pretty good match, and they look pretty period correct. But I'd probably rather just have sport seats, a factory sport seat with the same cloth.
For sure. Looks like the dash is clean. I think was the steering wheel black on this one? Is that what it was? Airbag?
Because you're saying it should have a different colored steering wheel.
I don't know. It looks kind of thick too. It has see how the cover, the cover looks thick, maybe, or something. It's recovered. I don't know. Something maybe the airbag.
Yeah. It's I like the black steering wheel. I think Deeb pointed out that it should have had a burgundy one, but I think all that burgundy goes a little. I mean, it's kind of nice to have the black break it up. I'd like to see black, what do you call it, floor mats or something like that.
Upper dash or something.
Yeah, and an upper dash would be great. But whatever. This is a special car. Here's the thing. It's not that I dislike 944s. I just feel like with the value of 911s getting ridiculous in all Porsches, and just a bit like you said, just about everything. It seems like 951s were brought up. But they kind of surpassed what they actually. I mean, they were always supposed to be kind of an entry level car, and they were great when they were a great bang for the buck. But now that they're, we've seen some of these get $70,000-$80,000. These Silver Rose cars, and it's no way. I mean, there's just not.
But those are probably cars with crazy low miles. They're museum cars anyway, so who cares, right? They're not drivers or a car you'd want to go and actually drive.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, see, I like him
same
already.
For same,
the fact that he measures it, that if it's not drivable, it's not worth it. Right? We're going to get along great.
All right. Well, so let's get to the bids. Deeb thought this thing would bring 29 grand. He was pretty down on all the mods. He is with you that if it were stock, it would definitely have brought more, which I certainly agree. And I was more aggressive. I thought this thing would bring 34,951 because it just seems like Porsche collectors and Porsche people just love these stupid colors. I know it had some mods on it, but I just thought, people are really, really crazy about this color. So that's why I made my bid. And then let's see your mental. You were at 28,944. What do you think, Lane?
What are the miles again?
Let's see. I think it was 73,000 miles. And while you're thinking of the bids,
nice drivable mileage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'll go right below you. I'll go like 32.
32 grand. All right. Well, there were 32 bids, so you got that right. Mental wins this one. This car failed to sell at 21,301. So the big question is, this thing really failed spectacularly. What do you think the seller's reserve was in their head? Any idea? I mean, there's no way for us to know, but BAT, they got to be somewhat reasonable when they allow these people to set the reserves. You think any opinion on that?
Probably in that 28 range.
Yeah,
I would say.
You think?
I don't know. That seems like I feel like there's something I'm missing. Maybe it is just the mods that are bringing it down, and then I don't know. I mean, because like you said, you see some of these things going for like 50, 60 grand, and this is a 1-year car. Even though the 89 was the same, it still wasn't called the S. So this was like. It's like pretty rare in that, that Porsche nerdum thing where it's like, oh, it's a one of this and this with this color and this interior. It definitely has some things going for it, but I think the mods are what ruined it for sure.
For sure. All right, what do you guys think of the results of this Silver Rose 951? Should the owner have taken that 21 grand? Are they stuck with it? Do they have a firm grip on this car, like Deeb likes to say? Is this car going to come back in the spring and bring that 30,000 or higher amount of money? Should the seller have removed all those mods and made it as stock as possible? And would the car have brought more if they had? Or do you think people will appreciate those mods? Seriously, we want to know what you guys think about mods, because it seems to go back and forth. Sometimes mods can add, certainly an RWB tends to add, as much as I hate those. If it's not a Tiptronic, RWB mods can bring a lot of extra money to a car. But I don't think anyone would ever RWB like an actual speedster or something like that unless it were a salvage car. But all right, let us know in the comments below. And then it's time for new predictions. Lane, you excited?
I'm so excited.
You are so, I could see the excitement just coming off you.
Oh
my gosh. All right, we'll be right back with brand new predictions right after this. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden, this guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for, Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. If you don't subscribe to Bid Nerds on YouTube right now, I'm gonna shoot this 997. If you said, wait, that's a 996, you're a nerd. So subscribe to the new YouTube channel, Bid Nerds. Get those nerds! Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. Yeah, we're back. And of course, I hit the wrong button on the camera. Mental one. Oh, nope, there it is. It went away. Okay, good. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Bid Nerds Live. We've got 4 new cars to make predictions on. And we're going to start with a car on Doug DeMiro's Cars and Bids. Speaking of Italian cars, we were talking about the GTV on the last episode. This episode, I think this Italian car is a little nicer than that GTV. I'm very curious to see what our guest Lane Skelton from DWA has to say about this. Let's see here. What year is this little bugger? This is a 2015 Alfa Romeo 4C Launch Edition with just 9,600 miles. This is a 154 of 500 Launch Edition models. This is a California-owned car, and this is a private party selling this little bad boy. These things, something crashed. Let's see. These things come with a pretty damn small. That can't be right. A turbocharged turbocharged inline 4.
Yep. And it is not available with a manual.
Correct, but is this
It's the Dart engine. It's I forget what it's called.
Is it a 1.7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that small.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, car weighs nothing.
I had no idea the engine was that small.
It has a name, Tiger or something? I don't know.
That sounds right. If we did research on the show, we would probably know. Yeah, these things are pretty fun. Have you ever driven one of these things? I mean, they've got 237 horsepower. I mean, for such, god dang, it is a 1.7 liter turbocharged.
They're all carbon. They're all carbon and stuff. I mean, Yeah, I've never driven one. I've always wanted to, and I've heard a lot of bad things about them. Actually, they're just not supposed to be that great, and they only came with an automatic, as Mental said.
Well, it's a dual
So
clutch, but yeah.
yeah, but whatever. Dual
Yeah,
clutch is an
pretty
automatic.
much. Yeah.
It's 2 pedals, not 3. Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah. So yeah, they kind of on paper they seem like they'd be kind of perfect. It's like a newer version of a 914. It's like power, but more power. But yeah, from everything I've heard, they're just kind of a little awkward and weird.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the 8C. I think that's one of the best looking cars of all time. And this car did a really good job kind of hearkening to that. They were coined as like these were supposed to be Boxster killers. I mean, they put these at about the same amount of same price as a 718. And you get all that Italian flair, but gosh, I just feel like without 3 pedals, I don't know why you bother. Mental, have you driven one of these? You've been on the track in one of these?
I have not. I've been so close, like a half a dozen times, to being able to drive one of these things, and they are supposed to be just like really, really fun. But especially when they were new, the money that they were asking for them, they weren't that much fun. There's a couple of them running around here in Vegas. They sound really great when they accelerate. There's a neat little exhaust note to them, but yeah. And apparently they're supposed to be with the dual clutch system. They're supposed to be a lot better on a track than they are on the street.
Yeah, look, these things, I mean, they're so small getting in and out of them. I feel like either of you guys are both tall. I'm thick, but geez, at least I'm short enough I could fit. This really reminds me of a little Lotus Elise or an Exige with that crazy door sill getting in and out of these. If you're a lady and you're wearing a skirt, this is probably not the car you want to drive. Speaking of ladies, I know firsthand of someone up in the Northwest had a head-on collision one of these. I think they were riding with the Porsche Club up there, and the lady driving one passed a bunch of Boxers or something on a blind corner and frickin' hit an oncoming car, and they survived somehow in this little car. So. Not for nothing, some modern design, I guess they're fairly safe, all that carbon fiber. But it's just driving an 8C and then getting in something like this little 4C, I feel like it would be very disappointing. What do we think this car will bring is the big question. I guess since Michael Deeb isn't here, I'm the one that has to actually start this. And boy, it's already got, let's see, this thing has a day to go. It's already at 23 bids, so a bunch of people have been bidding on this. That's pretty good with a day to go, but I think it's going to peter out. I'm going to say 49 grand and send it off to Mental. What do you think?
Because you can get these. The launch edition is what's going to a little extra, but these hover in the mid 40s, low 50s range. So I'm going to say 48.5.
48.5.
Yeah.
All right. And all right, Lane, what do you think this thing can bring?
I'm going to go 42.
42. All right. $42,000. And we will find out what happens with this car on Wednesday. So make sure you guys tune in live to find out the results of this. What's the nerd herd have to say here? Ross out there in New Zealand, he says he loves these little Alphas, but probably too tight a fit for it. That's right. You're a double extra large. We've got that t-shirt sent out to you. Let's see here. Anthony says you've driven one of these, Anthony. He says he's enjoyed it. Full go-kart action, but the Cayman is a better option for sure. I mean, I just feel like a Cayman and one of these are about the same price. You're just getting so much more car with a Porsche. I just don't understand why
this has a Dodge 4-cylinder engine.
Yeah, that's just not good.
I mean, yeah.
But, I mean, that lightness has got to be something. I mean, that's the thing. You drive what do you think of a Lotus Elise, Lane? Not the Exige, but Elise. Yeah.
Yeah, Elises are super fun. It's definitely like a toy as opposed to a car, though.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
My story with, I had an Elise for a week. It was under my care for a week, and I drove it a lot. And but I remember I went to drive it. I got in it, realized I needed gas, And then I thought about, I have to go to the gas station, get out of the car, back in, and I'm like, nah, I'm just not going to go on this drive. So
Yeah,
that's kind of my story with those, because they're a pain in the ass to get in and out of without the top off. And this, the top was on at this time. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of goes back to your, multi-car solution here. If it's just one car, this ain't it. If you had to live with a single car, a Cayman is a car that you could absolutely be your only car. It wouldn't maybe be the best selection for that, but it's, I mean, with the hatchback, they're easy to get in and out. They're easy to drive daily, and then you can go rail on them in the mountains. You have a Boxster, right? I
do. I have a 981 Boxster S.
Yeah, so I mean,
and that's kind of like the perfect car, and it's a good alternative. It's a 3.4 liter NA flat six compared to this fart can A-bar motor kind of style thing, or Dodge engine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this, and my car has a manual transmission. This is a dual clutch, but this thing does have like no power steering, which is kind of cool. There's some cool stuff about these for sure. It's just,
and that's some sex appeal. I mean, a little Italian thing like that's looking pretty damn good, but I don't know. I think
you want to shift, though. You want to be able to shift.
Well, I think most of the nerd herd would agree with you on that one. All right. Well, speaking of Dodge, you guys are not gonna. I feel like the nerd herd we're about to have a revolt here. We've had some weird cars on Bid Nerds before. This next car is going to be controversial. We chose this car because Hagerty chose this car as one of 2024's, I think it was top 10 picks. They think that this particular car is one of the top 10 cars with the most likely to appreciate. And I don't know what the big brains over at Hagerty are thinking with this 2001 Plymouth Prowler. This bad boy on PCAR Market of all platforms. It's got a couple of days to go, but look at this thing. Some dealer out of Santa Rosa, California, is selling this 16,000 mile Plymouth Prowler in Prowler Silver Metallic. This car is an automatic because that's all they came with. These cars are all drop tops. I don't know how many of these they made. I think they're pretty common. I think basically this car is a PT Cruiser with open front fenders and no roof. I mean, it's just one of the most hideous things ever made, and kind of weird that Dodge even made this car. Like, what the hell were they thinking when this car came out? Especially given that they had stuff like, the Dodge Viper, which was an absolute real true muscle car, sports car. And then this thing, I mean, Lane, have you ever been behind the wheel of a Plymouth Prowler, and what do you think of these?
I mean, thankfully I haven't, but I have been behind the wheel of a whatever that stupid thing that it looks like is
a PT Cruiser,
the Viper.
Yeah, PT Cruisers, and that's my least favorite car I've ever driven probably in my whole life.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are pretty horrible. 6-cylinder, right? Right? They didn't come with a V8 or anything.
It's a Mitsubishi. Yeah, it's a Mitsubishi engine in there.
Yeah, a little V6.
So. Those are really nice seats. Yeah, this is like, that's crazy that Hagerty put it on their bull market list, I would imagine. I think that's what you're talking about. Because, I mean, this is like, if you like typed in boomer car, this would come up, right?
Right.
So yeah, it just seems weird. Like, I don't think you and I were buying, any of us here, looking for something like this. Yeah, it's a really...
Yeah, I mean, because it doesn't, I don't know what year these started, but this doesn't fit in Radwood. I guess technically it could still be a young timer because it's early 2000s, right? Does this qualify as that? But I don't see any hipsters driving these. I know, Tyler Hoovey had one, and he liked it, but, he likes dorky, weird stuff, and he was the first to admit that it was trash, even though he kind of liked it. And now I guess he kicked his old wife to the curb and traded her in, like he does with cars, and he got like some strumpet that some TV anchor woman chick now. So he married some new girl, and so they do some morning show or something. So his trade-in wife, they were talking about this particular car on their show, and she was like, I think she was about to divorce him when he suggested at all that he might even kind of like this car. So Hoovie might be looking for a third wife here soon if he pushes it. I don't see where the market is or how possibly this car could go anywhere. Mental, what do you think of this car?
When they built this, and it was hot off of the success of some of their nostalgia styled vehicles, and they had the deal with Mitsubishi, and it was shameless, blatantly marketed to the boomer crowd, and they actually sold a large amount of them for what it was. But this is what you've said is their target demographic. It was very narrow, and now they don't care anymore. They want the least hassle Subaru that they make because they only drive it to the CVS and back. And so the notion that they're going to be able to unload this and that it's a low mile example, they're just, the people who want these don't drive anymore because, my dad was your target demographic for this, and he's not going to buy this car because you can't get in and out of it. And it's marketed towards the boomer generation, and they sold them that much, but nope, those guys are all gone.
There's a nice gentleman in the building that I live in. He parks in the parking garage directly across from my spot, and he owns an orange one of these in a different parking spot. And he knows that I'm into cars. He comes over to me and, hey, you're a car guy. I got a Dodge Prowler. You want to drive it? And I'm just like, it's a kindness on his part that he's offering to me, and I just like. I don't want to be a condescending prick, which you all know I am, but even in this particular situation, I'm just like, oh man, that sounds awesome. I gotta go. I'm driving away in my Porsche. But he hit me up the other day. He was realistic about it. He came up to me. He's like, hey, you're a car guy. I never drive my Prowler. If you know anyone that might want to buy it. And so I'm just like, wait, and here we go. He's going to want like $80,000 for it because he thinks he's like, I looked on the internet. It doesn't look like anyone's buying them. I think they're only worth like 25 or 30,000 bucks. And I'm just like, oh, shucks, this is a boomer that's actually not delusional. With that said, this car has almost 2 days to go. It's on PCAR Market, which to me seems like you couldn't have picked the worst platform for this. This car definitely seems to me like it should be on Cars and Bids, but this car has one bid for $250. That's it. That's all this car has gotten to. And it's got less than 2 days to go. That said, I think with Haggerty talking about them, I think it'll get a little bit of a bump, but this is a convertible, and it's the dead of winter, and we're seeing weird stuff going on in the market. I'm going to go ahead and say my bid is I'd be shocked if this thing breaks 20 grand, but maybe someone swoops in and tries at 19,995. What do you think, Mental?
Oh, you're throwing me off. I was not prepared to come up.
Lane's the guest. He goes last.
Lane's all right. So I'm with you. I just don't see the markets out there. It won't break 20. 17.5. And I think I'm being generous. And I think it's going to fail to sell. I think this is going straight to the chum bucket, and then the sharks are going to throw up when they get this.
What do you think it'll be in the chum bucket? Because I'm with you. I think it'll be in the chum bucket for
I think the chum bucket. It'll be 32. Yeah.
Lane, if you don't know what we're talking about when we say chum bucket, the Nerd Herd has dubbed the PCAR Market deal tank. Or whatever. Yeah, the deal tank for PCAR Market, we call it the chum bucket. What do you think will happen with this auction? What do you think the result? What will get bid up to?
I'm right with you guys. 19 grand. I'm at 19 grand.
Okay.
I think I'm trying to think about like if I'm Haggerty, what am I thinking? Maybe it's because that is like such a small amount of money. Really, for the collector car market, we're seeing GTV 6s and not that great of condition sell for 15 grand.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like nowhere else to go but up. So maybe that means like the $20,000 ones are going to be like 28 in 2 years. And they're like, that's a huge appreciation,
Yeah. You go from 20 to 30 and that's a huge, that's a good point. When you're talking about smaller numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. You also have to think, most of these have really low miles, and people kept them in pretty good shape, and they thought they were going to be collector's items. And they're those cars. Like
Yeah.
I doubt you see many of these with over 70,000 miles.
Yeah, the fella in my building, I think his has 30,000, and his is like a bright orange. It's actually probably one of the better looking one of these. If I were gonna, I mean, I hate the car, but it's like, okay, if you're gonna do this car, it should be in some crazy color. Who was the talk show host guy that had Montel Williams? Remember Montel Williams? He was famous for having a purple one when these things came out. God damn, this era of Dodge was just the biggest pieces of junk. All right, what's the nerd herd say? Looks like everyone's kind of in agreement. Everyone's
we're at 18.5. We did Buddha said 15,000 rubles, but yeah,
so $42.
Anybody that's saying over 20 also says that it's going to fail to sell.
Anthony's coming in at 26.5. Wow. Randy is at 25.5. Are these strong up there in Idaho? Lane, we have a huge fan base in Idaho. A bunch of our fans are in Idaho, apparently. Chris Carbine, cool. He's a professional in Louisiana. He says 23,750. Kevin says 20K no sale. Yeah, you're right. Everybody's FTS. Kevin's asking which engine this has. I think it has a 3.5. That's the only engine. I don't think there's a
correct.
Engine
yeah,
option
there wasn't a second gen version of this one. Here's a great picture. Right with you. It's the infamous 24 valve 3.5 liter V6 that went on to power the least famous of the Fast and Furious Mitsubishis, and along with a bunch of other disappointing machines.
This car is disappointment. Like. It's an embodiment of disappointment. It's just like, it's a disappointmente is what they should have called it. It's pretty sad. All right, what do you guys think this car will get to? What's that?
At least the SSR, had a V8, like the Chevy SSR, and another throwback car. But this one, I think from the start, I felt like I remember reading all the articles back in the day and stuff, and it was like just a big disappointment just because it lacked that engine. It was trying to be a hot rod, but it wasn't. So
it's got that long nose. It just looked like, it looked like the Dodge Viper with that long nose. This thing looked like it should have a big long V8 in there, or at least a big straight six or something like that. Some, 4-liter or something like that, like a Jag engine or something. But this is weird. All right, let's move on off that hunk of junk. Speaking of, I'm not going to call this junk, but we are staying on the Italian trash theme here tonight. I think this whole show is just like trash show. This car is awesome. This car is would be Radwood royalty if it actually makes it there. Mental, would you please bring a trailer this 1991 Lamborghini Diablo? Look at this bad boy. 2 days to go still. This thing's in Longview, Texas. Lamborghinis in Texas, you don't hear about that very often. This one says it's got 35,000 miles, 56,000 kilometers. These, of course, came with that big, huge, roaring 5.7 liter V12. This is a 5-speed manual transmission. This is a limited slip diff. This has deep black paint with black leather upholstery, 17-inch alloy wheels. I love those phone dial looking things. Scissor doors, of course. It's got all that sick ass Radwood 90s/80s. Look at that thing with the. This is just this is Sir Mix-a-Lot. Put them on the glass right there. You have to get a fur coat, and you're going to be winning rap battles just by driving in this thing. Holy cow. Have you ever driven one of these, Lane? What do you think of the Diablo?
Never driven a Diablo. But Diablo isn't that weird middle. I've driven Mercies and stuff, but forever these, I feel like Diablos were definitely like a good value-ish for what they are, but I think they've kind of popped in the last few years. With this whole, Radwood era and all these cars kind of going crazy. Do you know if this is, I know they change the interior like every year too. And the first year they made them, it had a really awful interior. I don't know what year they started or anything like that though. But.
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know anything about the interior. Maybe you guys in the comments can tell me if this is. But yeah, 2000 or 1991. I mean, everything from 1991. It was pretty tough to find a good interior on anything. Some of these were all-wheel drive too, right? I don't think this
Those
one
would be
is.
the VTs if it was an all-wheel drive.
Yeah,
yes.
and I know like those viscous transmissions are impossible to repair. So once they go, they go. I think this is the one you'll want with a manual. I mean, obviously with a manual. I have never driven a manual one. I did get to drive one of, I don't even know what their paddle shifter thing from that era is called, but it was clunky as hell. And it was just a fun experience just being in it and hearing it. But a three pedal one, I would love to get behind it. Do you remember the Jamiroquai video back in the day when they were just driving these and that clicking, even though not a fan of that gearbox, that click and that, I mean, when you're up on the RPMs and you're just ripping through, I don't know what song that was, but
it's Cosmic Girl, because JK is a Lamborghini enthusiast and historian, and that was actually his car. And in one of the scenes, you can see both of their hair moving because the director had hired a professional driver who wrecked it and shattered the front window. And that's when JK said, all right, your guy sucks. I'm driving for the rest of the video. So that's JK driving in that video.
Good for him. Looking through this ad, let's see here. So the cylinder heads were resurfaced in 2011 and service performed in September of 2020, involving machining the cylinder heads, welding and repairing the crankshaft, and rebuilding the oil pump and starter. In addition, the following components were replaced. Holy cow, can you imagine the bill? Main rod bearings, the piston rings. I mean, this is basically an engine rebuild. Holy crap. I mean, where do you even find someone to work on this? It's got some miles for one of these. This has got 35,000 miles. I mean, that's the problem with these old Italian V12s. That's real. Yeah, that may as well be 100 for a car in this era. One of these V12s, holy. But, that's good news that it had all that stuff done to it.
For sure.
Mental, have you ever driven one of these?
I have not. This is the last great era of Lamborghini just being absolutely nutcase Lamborghini. After this is the Audi, the VAG takeover. So a lot of their cars, like, they started doing things like starting when you would turn the key and the air conditioner would work. And that's just what happens when you're owned by, Volkswagen and Audi. But like right here is the picture that I want to talk to. This is factory construction. Now, it's great that the shifter is slightly gated towards the driver, but look at the two window switches. They're not even they're not on the same plane. If these were pictures in your house, you would rehang them, and Lamborghini's like, close enough. It's fine. And the fact that this car is coming out of Texas, like around Dallas area, if you took it to one of those forensic things that they used to do on Top Gear, guaranteed there's cocaine residue in this car. Absolutely would bet my paycheck on it.
Yeah, that came from the people who were building it. I mean, there's no way anyone wasn't on drugs when they were putting this thing together. Patootie loves it. Dogleg 5-speed. I mean, how bad is that? Pulling something, pulling that first gear towards you and taking off. There's something about a dogleg. I love that. Big question is, how much do we think this Diablo will bring? I know Countages have gone absolutely freaking crazy, and I think these have two with a manual 5-speed, and that engine rebuild. I think the high miles are going to hurt it, but I'm going to hit this thing at, where am I going to be? I'm going to say $400,000 and pass it on to my partner today, Mental. What do you think?
Oh, so that is a great, I'm going to have to say it. Yeah, I think even now with all the stuff that we love to say about the season and the economy and everything, I do. I think it's going to break 400 just because it does. Lamborghini does have that collector car enthusiast market. So I'm going to say 408.
$408 or 400.
$408,000.
Got it. All right, Lane, where are you at?
Being that it's, I don't know, I think black isn't the greatest. I feel like if you buy this car, you want to be like super loud. I'm gonna go 330.
330. Okay, significantly lower. I think the nerd herd is kind of agreeing with you guys. I maybe I'm being. Wait, you said 330?
Yep.
Sorry, I was writing.
He's got to type it all in.
Type it. I totally forgot to write our bids down for the Plymouth. I think I'm probably pretty aggressive here. I mean, I'm forgetting that it's off season. It's snowing everywhere. And this car, I don't know. We've seen some Countages lately kind of fail to get those big numbers too. I mean, they were getting somewhere 600,000-700,000. There was one the other, was it last week that it didn't even break 500. So, but these cars, this is a much better car than the Countach. Not that this thing could be considered a reliable car, but Countages are like almost undrivable. It's like pretty much 1 out of 2 times you drive it, it will break. And that's including pulling it out of the garage and putting it back. They are just not cars that are reliable in any way. But these, I feel like you might be able to take it to Cars and Coffee, maybe go do a canyon ring, get it back without having to call AAA. Have you had anybody bring one of these to a Radwood event and not have it be able to leave on its own power?
No, we've had a few. Actually, we've had quite a few Diablos at Radwoods. I'm sure not all of them left on their own power, but they probably didn't get there on their own power either. So,
or may not have made it home, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
maybe got out of the parking lot.
We've had quite a few Diablos actually. Probably more Countaches though.
Yeah, really?
I think Diablos were. I don't know how the numbers kind of, but
they
Diablos
all went to
weren't
Florida.
made as
All
long
of them
as
were in
Countaches.
Florida.
Yeah. And they probably didn't sell as many, right? I mean, that was like early 90s. That's when Porsche was barely selling any cars. And I wonder how many they actually sold.
Probably said in the ad, but I've already moved on. Lane,
Whatever.
Tell us about, we got one more car, but before we get to that, tell us about the next Radwood event.
Oh, so the next Radwood that is basically at the Amelia Island Concours. So that's the one. They're doing it with Cars and Community. So it's going to be a pretty big event. I think we've had Radwood at the last 2 or 3 Amelias. So yeah, that's the next Radwood. And then we haven't announced our list for the Radwoods for the upcoming year for the true Radwood events. But we will be back in Austin and LA and Northern California and all the normal places, basically.
Man, I still think, what was it, Radwood 2, the one in LA, the first one in LA at the
at the German place.
Yeah, at the Phoenix Club was probably the most fun car show of all time. There have been better car shows, there have been bigger car shows, but that was just like that was like the zenith, right? That was when it all came together. Holy cow.
That was a blast.
If you guys haven't been to a Radwood, one will be coming to a town near you, and make sure you get over there. You going to Air and Water?
No, I'll actually I will be in Japan. I'll be traveling home from Japan that day.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm going to have to miss it.
Oh,
but
bummer.
I'm going to Japan to go to I'm doing a K-car rally in Japan.
Huh. How many K cars are there in Japan?
I mean, they're everywhere, right? Not the US K cars. This is the small little JDM under 660 cc cars.
Sweet.
So I'm going to be driving probably I don't know, like a Honda. I forget what it's called actually. But it's kind of like a Honda hatchback thing, like a brand new K car, tuned by Spoon.
Are you doing that for DWA or Radwood, or are you just doing this for fun?
Doing it for fun.
Oh, that sounds great.
For fun.
Nice.
Yeah, it should be a blast. My friend Clark lives over in Japan, and he's putting it on. It's called the Round Cat Rally.
Nice.
And it's like a week-long drive throughout I'm flying into Tokyo, and then it's going to be all throughout the Japanese countryside. Should be insanely fun.
That sounds epic. I wish I were going with you. All right. Yeah. Let's get to the last car of the night. This one, definitely a departure from what we've been talking about, but also talking about another vehicle that may not be the most reliable thing ever on the planet. This is on Bring a Trailer, a 1959 Volkswagen Type 2 fire truck. Look at this thing. This is what you need if you own one of those old Lamborghinis to drive behind you when it ultimately catches on fire. You have your own fire truck that will ultimately catch up and you can put it out. I don't know if it would be there on time. Let's see here. So this one has a little 1.2 liter flat four, 4-speed manual transmission. This is a split window van. The engine's in the back. This is just the old school van that we all know and love, but it's got all this cool stuff inside. It has the shovels. It has all the fire, gear. This is like an actual legit fire truck on a little Type 2 Volkswagen. This thing, I mean, geez, your building is going to burn down before this thing gets there. We got pictures of this thing, Mental? There we go. Oh, I love that. Look at that thing. Little dealer somewhere. Where is this for sale? In Denver, Colorado. This is another vehicle that if you bid on, you're probably not going to be able to drive it home. You're going to have to put this thing on a truck and get it somewhere, because I would not want to drive out of Denver in all the snow this time of year in one of these. Also, the heat probably doesn't work so well. I drove a 78 bay window van across the country with some buddies back in the 90s to go to New Orleans for Mardi Gras in a van that didn't have any heat, and that was unpleasant. So you don't want to drive this across the Colorado winter. What do you think of these old Type 2 split windows? Are you a Volkswagen guy? Do you like this kind of Volkswagen thing? Lane, what do you think?
I'm a Volkswagen guy. I have a 66 Bug. And I cut my teeth on Volkswagen Rabbits, Mark 1s.
Yeah.
But it's definitely cool, but it's such like a specific like Volkswagen nerd car. Like, it's taking the van and taking all the usefulness out of it, right? So it's like, it's so cool. It's like a museum piece or something, to have in a museum or for a fire station to buy and to get kids stoked on it and stuff. But it feels like the market for this would be pretty tiny.
Yeah, you have to be very, very specific to want this thing. You want to just have it. You got to have the space to store it, and you want to go to the Volkswagen show and win it. This is the kind of vehicle that it's pretty much you're gonna get the little plaque or the ribbon or whatever stupid Lexan thing they're giving away to everybody. You got a good chance at winning just about any Volkswagen show you go to with this thing, at least for the first year, and then everyone will have seen it, and then they'll be over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mental. What do you think of these old Type 2 Volkswagens? You ever had one?
I have. I had two of the vans. I had a 68 and a 70 Combi camper. I've never had any of the panel vans or anything like this, and they were painfully slow, and I can only imagine how much slower this one is with a giant air-cooled water pump in the center of it. But yes, what we need is a database that lists every fire person, volunteer or professional, that is also a Volkswagen enthusiast. There's your market. And they're the ones and they will absolutely drive this to the show, and it'll be cool, and they'll let kids crawl all over it, and it'll be fun. But yeah, it's hella neat. But yeah, the person that wants it has got to love VWs and love historic fire vehicles.
Well, there are fire truck collectors too, just in general, right? I mean, people that,
but usually they like
trucks.
the stuff out of Oshkosh, and and they'll tell you all day about this pumper, and they can like rattle off the history of the big giant and the convertibles and all that kind of stuff. This one, man, it's a really, really narrow niche. I
got to figure though, if you're into that niche, you have that Oshkosh, that big, huge, diesel pumper or whatever. This is the one that you kind of come in. Like there was, up in Seattle, when I used to live up in Seattle, I got invited one year. My buddy, he hobnobs with a bunch of rich Seattle guys that they owned an island in the San Juan Islands, and every year these guys would do a weekend, this guy's weekend, and we would all get in their yacht and we would go out to their private island, and we would just basically shoot guns, eat barbecue, play poker, and drink scotch all weekend. That was the move, right? And the thing was, every year everyone would bring a bottle of something, right? But it had to be kind of everyone was trying to, that was the thing that all these rich guys were trying to outdo one another. So they'd bring a super crazy rare bottle of wine or some really old bottle of scotch, or, the multi-thousands of dollars, for one bottle of whatever. And, I'm not that guy. I can't compete on that level. So I went and I got online and found a rare bottle of Ed Hardy vodka that I knew new. No one would that's the only way it could compete is kitschy and weird and kind of funny. Of course it was a big hit, and I wasn't invited back because all the guys that brought the really expensive stuff were pissed that I was getting more attention with my Ed Hardy vodka. I feel like this van could be that Ed Hardy vodka for someone going to the fire truck shows and wanting to win it. You guys with me? Yeah. I don't know. What do we think this thing's going to bring is the big question on BAT.
Ross has a good point about that, is the difference between this one and that Plymouth is that in 2 generations, this Volkswagen is still collectible.
Right? Yeah, someone's always going to want this car. By the time, look, most of the people that were around when this car was brand new are pretty much gone or are going to be gone pretty soon. But generations of people will always want split window Volkswagens. They are iconic. A Plymouth Prowler, once people aren't around and that once there are no longer anyone that was around when they were new, they will be forgotten. No one will be like, hey, look at this. Nobody's going to care. The only reason someone wants a Prowler, I think, is because they were around when they were new and they thought it was nostalgic somehow, I guess. I don't know. Why are we back on the Prowler? Who cares? What's this car going to bring? Let's see here. It's 2 days to go. It's already at $15,000. How many bids do we got already? Let's see if I can scroll down here and find out. There's 5 bids, so not a ton of action. But I mean, with 2 days to go, I'm going to say this thing breaks 30 grand. I'm going to say $31,002 and pass it on to Mental.
And it's a good point on that one. I would argue that this one, if it goes for its current price, and because it is on BAT, we know that it always jumps up a little bit. This price right now, someone could make the fire department angry, buy it, rip all the fire department stuff out of there, and have a really, really nice 59 Type 2 that they could sell for a small fortune. So just a running panel van right now is worth twice as much as what this thing's bidding for. So I'm actually going to go high and say that this one's going to go for 45.
I think that is a good take because really split windows I just think it's the wrong time of year for it. And Volkswagen people, oh man, I feel like they don't have any money. They just don't. What was your number there, Mental?
45.
45. All right, Lane, what do you think?
I'm gonna go 40. I'm gonna split the difference. I'm gonna say 40 grand. 40. I think it definitely has. Yeah, like Mental was saying. I mean, the bones are there.
Yeah.
And if you want to take it away from being a fire truck, it definitely. And it's a split window, so it has a lot going for it for sure. And then there is people like I have a friend. He goes by Teeny Tiny Fire Truck on Instagram, but he has a little Daihatsu Hi-Jet truck, which is like a K truck from Japan. It's a fire truck, and he's like that is his life now, just going to fire stations and like taking pictures next to the trucks and having the firefighters take pictures with it. And he does all these parades in the thing, and he has this like soundtrack he made. A friend of his made, and it's this lady announcing that Godzilla is coming and all this stuff.
I've seen that. He brings it to Lemons races, and he lets us use it as a judge mobile.
Todd.
It's fantastic. Yeah. I love that one. And yes, the funniest thing in the world is Godzilla is approaching the city.
Yeah.
It's probably racist, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, and he takes us all the Radwoods and stuff like that. And, yeah.
Well, the Nerd Herd is with you guys. I mean, Gerd, who got the Yahtzee this week, he says 46.2. Ross thinks 43. Randy B's at 36 grand. What does Buddha think? Buddha thinks 41. He's a deadhead. He of all guys, I know he was a big Volkswagen van guy. So that's
it's a shame Chef isn't with us. Chef would probably give us a good.
Yeah, he's got a split window. What do they call that? Doka or just a single cab? Right?
It's no. Well, he's got that one, but he's also got like the original 60 or the like all the windows, 32 window thing because it's got or do you sell that one? Okay.
Yeah, no, he's got just the single cab one.
Okay.
Or I don't know if it's a single cab or a double cab. I can't remember, but it doesn't have the back on it. But anyways, cool ass car. He knows his Volkswagens way better than I should have phoned in. I should have phoned my aunt like millionaire show. Oh well, I screwed up. All right, what do you guys think this thing will bring? Let us know in the comments below. And those are our predictions for the beginning of the week. It is September 14th. Come back and hang out with us on Wednesday at 6:30, and you can see if our bids were correct or if you beat us on these bids. Let us know. If you're watching this show when it's not live, put your bids in there, and let's see if you're better at this than we are. Lane, what do you think? You're back. You gonna come back and hang out with us on the nerds? You still dig the nerds?
Anytime. I like you guys. Yeah, for sure.
Man, look at that.
And the Honda I'm going to drive in Japan is a Honda N1.
Nice.
Oh, excellent.
Honda N1.
The big question, Lane, is: do you think we should bring Deeb back, even once his deformity is cleared up?
I would let Deeb back.
You would let him back? Nice guy, okay, so, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Gerd is bucking for his job. He's way better at than all of us. He might take all of our jobs. Mental, where can we find you later in the week?
So I am, of course, Everyone Racers, and if this week works out, or later in the week, I'll be here doing Bid Nerds. But every Thursday we have a new episode of Everyone Racers, and we are going to be talking about a project for your race car in the cold season, and that is improving your roll cage with footwells and gussets and a whole bunch of other things. We're going to have Chris Abbott, our technical guy, go deep into that.
Very, very nice. I'm releasing some new films on the Derfascination YouTube channel. We've got a bunch of the pieces from the old Porsche Road Trip TV show that was on Pluto TV. So we've got new episodes dropping every Monday for like the next 8 weeks. Lane, the interview that you and I did for the show, I'm going to be putting that up in a month or so. So I'll let you know when that one comes out again too. What do you guys think of our new look? We kind of changed up the screen. We've got things looking a little different. Let us know. Do you like it? Do you want us to go back to the old way? Do you just hate it? Or what do you guys think? Because this doesn't have to be permanent. It's a work in progress. We're having some fun with it, changing the lighting in the studio a little bit. If you guys are looking to put your car on an auction, my partner who isn't here, Michael Deeb, does work for Hagerty Marketplace. And if you want to put your car on Hagerty, their auction site, he can help you out with that. So hit him up. You can reach him in the comments or DM us on let's say, I guess that would be the Bid Nerds Instagram handle. You can catch Deeb over there. And then Lane, anything else you want to plug before we get out of here?
Where can we find you, Lane?
You can find me at Lane Skelton Design on Instagram, also Driving While Awesome and Radwood. So those are actually I post on more. Those are 3 of the accounts I post that I am the primary poster on, I would say. But yeah, listen to the DWA podcast weekly. It comes out on Thursdays. We've been doing it for our 10-year anniversary is coming up. So that's pretty cool.
10 years, congrats.
Been doing it since 2014. And then recently, Mental brought up lemons. We had Jay Lamb, our good friend Jay Lamb, on the podcast. He has a house down the street from me, so we've been friends with him for a while. And since we actually started the podcast from a lemons race team back in 2007.
Oh wow!
So, not to age us or anything. But,
yeah, right. All right, guys. Well, there it is. That's been another Bid Nerds episode. We will see you guys Wednesday night live at 6:30. We'll see you then.